Okay, think about what it takes to write a novel. The outlining, the drafting, the endless revisions. For most authors, that's a year of their life, easy. But what if you could do all of that in a single day? I'm not talking about some far-off future, I mean right now. Let's get into how this is even possible.
So picture this, a brand new novel drops on Amazon, and it just takes off. It starts climbing the charts, readers are absolutely loving it, and then boom, it hits #1 in its category. On the surface, it looks like the ultimate success story, right? The dream come true for any writer.
And we're not talking about a small splash here. This book sells over 5,000 copies in its first month alone. People are actually buying it, reading it, and leaving great reviews. But there's a secret to this book's success, and it's one that completely changes the game.
And here it is, the first mind-bending twist. That entire 85,000-word bestseller, it was written from the very first sentence to the last in under 24 hours. Just let that sink in for a second. Not a year of grinding away at a keyboard, less than a day.
Yeah, because the author wasn't human. It was AI. And this slide, it just puts the sheer scale of this into perspective. A full year of human blood, sweat, and tears, accomplished by a machine in just 24 hours. The difference is absolutely staggering.
So the big question is, how on earth is this even possible? Well, that brings us to our first section here. We're going to deconstruct the mechanics behind this unbelievable speed, a speed that makes an AI author literally 365 times faster than a human one. Now, this capability didn't just appear out of thin air, but as you can see from this timeline, the final leap has been, well, it's been massive. For decades, AI writing was basically a quirky experiment, but that jump to models like GPT-4 in just the last couple of years, that's what unlocked this incredible acceleration. This chart really visualizes the insane difference in raw output. A professional human writer on a really good day might crank out 1,000 words. That's a solid productive session. And AI, it's spitting out 3,000 to 5,000 words per hour, and it does it continuously with no writer's block, no need for a coffee break. It's not even in the same league. And when you lay out all the numbers side by side like this, it just gets crazier. We've already talked about the time, less than a single day versus up to a year. But look at the cost. We're talking maybe $100 in server fees for the AI versus a $50,000 advance for a human author. This isn't just changing how we write, it's changing the entire business of publishing. But look, this isn't just some theory or a thought experiment. This is happening for real, right now. So let's dive into some actual examples of AI-written books that aren't just getting finished, they're actually hitting the bestseller lists. And you know what the most shocking part of all this is? The quality is actually pretty good. Readers are giving these books high ratings, and like this quote shows, a lot of people can't even tell they were written by a machine. That line between human and AI creativity is already starting to get really blurry. Okay, so this is that novel we talked about at the beginning, an 85,000-word book written in 20 hours for about the cost of a couple of movie tickets, $20. It gets self-published on Amazon, shoots to #1, and sells over 5,000 copies. The return on investment there is something it's fundamentally impossible in traditional publishing. All right, so if one book in a day sounds impressive, let's just up the ante a little bit. An independent author wanted to push the limits and see if an AI could write an entire trilogy. The result? 3 full-length novels, generated in just 3 days. Let's just break that down for a second. We're talking nearly 250,000 words, which led to over 15,000 sales. For a human writer, that's a 2, maybe 3-year project. For the AI, it was basically a weekend's work. A single weekend. Okay, so the numbers are they're mind-boggling. But what does all of this actually mean for writers, for readers, and maybe most importantly for you? Let's talk about the real-world impact of this writing revolution that's happening right under our noses. Yeah, this isn't some niche little experiment happening in a corner of the internet anymore. As of this year, 2024, nearly a third, 30% of all self-published authors are already using AI in some way to help with their writing. This isn't coming. It's already here. So this slide kind of lays out the new landscape. What's happening is that the old barriers to writing a book, time, money, even just the raw skill of writing, they're basically collapsing. So for human writers, the focus has to shift.
it can't be about just producing words anymore, because the machine does that way better. It has to be about infusing the work with a unique voice, with emotional depth, what you might call the soul that an AI really struggles with. And this, right here, this is the part that connects directly to so many of us. I mean, if you have ever had a great idea for a story, a world, a set of characters, but you just felt completely overwhelmed by the monumental task of actually writing a book, well, that barrier is now fundamentally gone. So, let's shift gears and look to the future. With things moving this fast, where is all this technology headed? What is the world of books and publishing even going to look like by the end of the decade? Well, the projections are even more startling. So here's the big prediction coming from industry analysts. By 2030, which is just a few short years away, it's expected that half, 50%, of all novels that are commercially published will be written, at least in large part, by artificial intelligence.
And this timeline here shows the predicted paths to get there. But look closely at that 2028 milestone. The prediction isn't just about more books. It's that by then, AI will be writing novels that are qualitatively better than 80% of human authors. That is a pretty profound statement about the future of creativity itself.
Now, this doesn't have to be some dystopian story where machines replace everyone. The more optimistic view, and the one I think is more likely, is that this becomes a collaboration. A future where human creativity is the director, guiding the powerful engine of AI to create stories that are way more ambitious and complex than either one could ever achieve on their own. So, who's safe in this new world? Well, for now, it's the top-tier authors. The writers whose work just has that singular, unmistakable voice, that deep emotional connection. It's that human spark that, so far, you just can't program into a machine. And that really brings us to the final, crucial question that this whole revolution forces all of us to ask. As machines get better and better at the craft of storytelling at these superhuman speeds, what's the real value of that creation? Is all this incredible efficiency, is it ultimately meaningless if it lacks a human soul? That's the debate that's going to define the next era of art and creativity.